Hey, real estate rock stars, welcome to the Whole Enchilada of Real Estate Investing, the only podcast that serves up the full feast of street smart strategies to build wealth and take control of your financial future. I'm Lou Brown, and I've been in the real estate game since 1976, so I've learned how to make the whole plate worth it. Each week, I'll be dishing out creative financing hacks and proven systems that help investors build multi-million-dollar businesses. No fluff, just the good stuff, straight from the source. Ready to dig in and start making deals? Let's get to it. Welcome, everyone, to the Whole Enchilada of Real Estate Investing. And today we have a real treat. First of all, we are here with all of our Platinum Masterminds. Everybody say, yeah, baby! Yeah, baby! Yeah, baby! From all over the country. And we are about to have a treat for our Platinum Masterminds because right here in Charleston, South Carolina, where we have gathered to be part of this great group, we have some talent. We have some talent that I'm proud to say, happy to say, we've been together for a very long time, and there's been some very great successes along the way. So we have none other than Mr. Adam Denny right here, who's currently from Charleston, South Carolina. And we're going to give you an opportunity to tell us who you are and where you're from and how we got to know each other. And then I want you to tell us about your business.
So, I don't know, 2004, I think, in Atlanta. I went to the Georgia RIA group, and Lou was the speaker, and I knew who he was, and I'm like, I got to sign up for that class because I'd already been doing the business quite a few years at that point, since the 80s, on and off actually, but was full-time back into it in the early 2000s. And so I was buying and selling courthouse step properties, and I was buying them in foreclosure basically. And I'd come across subject to property and just had a rudimentary understanding of how to take it over by contract at that point. So I wanted his class. I'll never forget, back then we had like 1,000 people show up at the RIA meeting.
Yeah, it was big. It was big. We had over, I think we had 1,300 members. And usually at an evening meeting, we would have at least 300 people.
At least. He spoke in front of hundreds that night to offer the beginning of Millionaire Jumpstart back then. And so Lou did his presentation. I didn't even know how much it cost back then. I just wanted it. And so I went back, and I remember it was like $6,500, which was a lot of money back then. Didn't matter. I bought it. And that was when you first offered the class in LA as well. And I'd never been to LA, so I wanted to go and check it out. And that's how Lou and I met 21 years ago now.
Wow, that's fun. That's excellent. So, okay, so you jumped into real estate, and tell us what kind of real estate you got into.
Buying, like I said, foreclosures on the courthouse steps, rehabbing, flipping. Actually, I got into buying some notes as well at that point, or creating notes. And then literally this, and I was still doing this. So what had happened, Lou didn't have coaching way back in the day. He's like, thanks for the money, we'll catch you again next time. We didn't have anything, you know? And so my good friend was an attorney, and him and I sat down, and I said, how do we make this work to figure it all out? And so that's what we did. I ended up buying probably 10 subject to properties that first year. And they were probably all wrong, but we got them through, and I never got sued to this day. So that's
yeah, baby, that's all good.
So time goes by, and how I got to where I am today, actually some of the worst things happen in life give you some of the best outcomes. So the crash happened in 2008. I had like 27 properties. Most of them were rentals, some were owner finance properties, some were flips. I ended up losing most of them, and then I had 8 properties in the vacation, the short-term vacation business. I'd taken a crazy class where they said there's this thing called VRBO. You need to buy property, and all. So I did it using subject to. And I didn't pay much money in the North Georgia mountains where I bought this property. Most of this property was hard to sell because the people that live there are not affluent enough to buy it, and there aren't enough vacation people, so it's only people who can afford to put 20% down. So anyways, in the end, these deals popped up all over, and I ended up buying a couple of them, and then the crash happened, and you couldn't buy a property on the courthouse steps because you didn't have any idea what it was worth. You couldn't do rentals really. People weren't paying the rent because they're like, people aren't paying the mortgage, so I'm not paying the rent. So I got into the crazy business 24 years ago of short-term rentals. And then when the crash happened, I ended up buying them, and a lot of them. I purchased 53 vacation properties over 2000 in about 14 years. And after the crash, all the ones I bought, thanks to what I had learned here, they gave them to me for free, and actually probably out of the 53, I'd say in the high 40s, paid me to take them.
So tell us how that worked.
Well, it's actually not the forte or my business of what I do and what I'm really good at, which is knocking on doors, but these were long distance transactions. We didn't have FaceTime or, you know, the video conferencing back then, so it was all really telephone sales. And so people were upside down on their properties just like everybody else was, so it came to the point where I tell them, like, listen, you know, here's what you're gonna net from the cost to sell worksheet. And just as I've heard Lou say, well, if you have a check for $20-something thousand, we can probably do a deal. And I used to laugh the first time I heard it till it happened to me, I don't know how many times.
You don't believe it until it actually happens, and then they pay you to buy their house, and how cool is that?
So very few paid the lump sum payment of $10,000 to $20,000. Typically, I worked it out where I would take title to the property and let them make the payment for X amount of months that we notated in the contract. And I never had one not come through and do the deal. In the meantime, I would sell off, all these places were furnished, so I would sell off all of the stuff inside through an estate sale or some kind of garage sale, or, you know, different methods of unloading what was in there. And then the reason now, statistically, 90% of people in the vacation rental, short-term rental business, 90% only own one property, and despite what you see on the news, most of them break even or lose money. It's not what people think it is, actually. And the only reason I'm successful at doing this, because I was there doing it myself, and then I've moved, and then literally I lived in Atlanta with Lou. We were an hour to 2 hours away from most of my properties, and then with technology has really helped take this off. I have 6 virtual assistants, and then my properties right now, I have 32 properties, and they're in 6 different areas, 5 or 6 in each area basically, and have an oversight or a manager oversee those properties and take care of. And I have the same landscaping person in each area, the same maid person, the same maintenance guy, and I assign one of those people the responsibilities to take care of my properties in each one of those areas, basically. And then I have 6 virtual assistants for different shifts, 24 hours a day. Actually, most of my business now, 60-something% of my bookings now come from my own direct efforts, where we put a QR code where it says sign up for our email list and our text list and all that, and we'll give you a discount if you book with us direct, which takes away the hassles of the complaints from Airbnb and dealing with them, which is not easy to do.
Yeah, baby. Wow. That is incredible. So, you know, here's you're out there in the world, you're causing things to happen, and you're juggling the fact that these people are upside down on their property. So how was it that you were able to deal with the lenders on those?
I didn't. Just take it over.
Just took over the payments. This is the concept of the $10 house profits, right?
Correct. Basically, this is back in the day before you made your payment online. I mean, I remember writing my bookkeeper, and I sign all the checks to this day still, that for the checks we do write, that, you know, putting the seller's name on there, the address and the loan number, and sending off the payment. Some we still do to this day like that. Never had a problem.
Yeah, so you just continued to make the payments on the loans that you wanted to continue to pay. Now, what did you do with the ones that you didn't want to continue to pay?
Well, being they were in areas and groups of properties, I found people who wanted to be in the short-term rental business, and I actually turned around and owner financed those as a package to an individual, where we assigned different values to each particular property. And so a combined deal, but with a mortgage against each property. So the ones I've been selling off, that's who I sold it to, was somebody who wanted to be in the business. It was a ready-made business with cash flow. So not only I get the property value, but I got the business value and the revenue value off the property, and a extra value for financing the deals. So it was an all
Extra value for financing the deals, right? We always get that premium price because of the fact that we're actually acting as the bank for the customers, and that gives us a really great spread. So what do you see on the horizon for the vacation rental business?
I'm kind of phasing out of it only because it is a lot of work still with the amount of time and effort I still have to put in it. Plus I'm 300 miles away compared to being 100 miles away. It's getting more difficult and competition-wise, and everybody wants to be in it. Those 32 properties generate me in revenue about $3.5 million.
So it's a beautiful thing.
Well, my overhead's very expensive though, so I'm not making.
So that's the gross numbers.
Yeah, that's
the 3.5. What's the net numbers?
About 425.
About 425. So a lot of expenses. Yeah.
A lot of expenses, and actually the only reason I kept them is depreciation, basically.
So there is a tax benefit. You do have to factor that in as well. So
there is.
You net the 425 plus the tax benefits on all those 32 properties.
Correct.
Right? Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
It's about a zero sum.
Well, that's what we love. That's our program.
However that happens.
It's voodoo economics, right? It's the tax code comes to save us. It comes to give us that wonderful gift that the tax code gives us, right?
So another great part of this that I learned from Lou is, so a lot of these properties originally, and I'm talking 15, 18 years ago, I bought on 5-year balloons, 6-year balloons, whatever I can negotiate. The minimum I'd ever take anything for is no less than 5. Some of these, I am still on the original financing after 5-year balloons because I will call them up every 5 years and say, Lou, it's your birthday. And you're like, no, my birthday's in August. I'm like, no, it's today. I'm going to give you $5,000 if you extend this note out another 5 years or whatever we negotiate. And I've done that 3 or 4 times on multiple properties.
So it's a beautiful thing. So they weren't sure if it was even going to happen in the first place, and because you just came along and said to them, look, I need an extension, I'll give you some cash for that. They say, yeah, baby, and let's...
We made the payments all those years, and they were going to lose these properties typically to foreclosure. In the end, that's how probably half of them I found they were already in financial trouble.
That's a beautiful thing. All right, so now let's talk about your business as it stands today. One of the things that you have become an expert at is knocking on doors. And I would love for you to share with folks how you do what you do so very well.
So my background on knocking on doors, I used to own an advertising and marketing company, and we sold coupon advertising on paper grocery bags, which are coming back actually. And so I used to have 50 salespeople that worked for me, and we knocked on business doors. I just applied that same concept and theory of door knocking to home sales, basically. And so it's kind of changed up in the sense that I was buying for the last 25 years, buying foreclosures, and what I realized is there's way more property now not in foreclosure yet, and I'm buying right now almost exclusively 90% plus almost brand new houses that are either on the market or expired, but typically on the market for sale, and they're upside down. Only for the simple reason that the builders, when the prices of materials 3 or 4 years ago were high, were selling the properties for more money. If you go to sell your house now, they don't sell for the highest price, they sell for as many people as they can sell to. So they're selling the same house that you bought 3 years ago for the same or less money. They have 0% interest. I'm seeing in a lot of the subdivisions, they are selling for 0% down now. And who wants to buy a used house when you can buy a new one cheaper? So our door knocking now involves going right to the door that are on MLS or listed for sale, and saying, hey, we know your house isn't gonna, right now the door knocking I'm doing on these houses, if they've been on the market more than 30 days, and usually most have been on for months. So we knock on the door.
So I'm Mr. Seller now. You're knocking on the door. Talk to me.
So they still, the biggest problem is they still believe a lot of these have real estate agents, and the real estate agent has told them to get the listing, despite
Nope, you just knocked on the door. What are you saying to me?
So your house has been on the market now for more than 30 days. You know, you and I both know probably it's upside down. If I could pay full price or full value for the house, would that be of any interest to you?
Well, it might be. You know, I've got it listed. It's on the MLS. I mean, anybody can come along and buy it. Why haven't you gone to my real estate agent?
We don't deal with real estate agents. We'll deal direct, and we can pocket that money into your pocket instead of real estate agents.
Well, I've got a contract. You know, I'm obligated to the real estate agent, so...
Not a problem.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, I'm listening, so tell me more.
Well, at that point, we would close for an appointment, basically, and then I would come back and go over the statistics.
So at that point, you would just say to me, hey, I don't have time now, but
Sure.
I'd like to get together with you, and let's go ahead. I'll be prepared. I'll have all my documents and...
Well, typically, if they do want to talk to me at that point, I do. The objection with the real estate agent is not a big deal. They're ready to throw them away after 30 or 60 days only because they know that the house is not going to sell. And some real estate agent probably told them this is your real value and you're underwater. I've heard that multiple times. So the reality is sit in now, and now, you know, the biggest problem or the biggest objection I get is this can't be real. How can you do what nobody else can do?
So how is it, Mr. Jones, Mr. Denny, how is it that you can come along and my agent hasn't been able to find anybody that would buy it at this price, and now you want to buy it at this price? How can you do that?
Well, creative financing, and if I could explain that to you. Like I'll give you a proof of the example. We just bought a deal a couple weeks ago. The woman, it's a 2-year-old house, the woman paid $450 for it, put $20,000 worth of repairs into the property, or upgrades into the property. The house probably wasn't worth $400 now. She owed $388. Luckily, she did put 10% down, and so she'd been trying to sell the house for 6 months. And actually, I was telling him we were working with a guy who was trying to learn the business, and we put together a list for him. He went out, and the second door was this woman. She's like, I need to sell. I'm moving out of town. Not staying here. And she realized to sell, she was going to be upside down $30,000 or $40,000. She was very anxious to talk to us at that point. In the end, I optioned, or actually no, I bought that one for $12,000.
So she had done her own cost to sell work. She had already figured out.
Well, the
that she
real
was
estate agent
upside down.
told her that.
The agent already informed her, educated her, and told her, uh-oh, you're going to be upside down on this, so you got a problem. And so as a result, you need to know that you're going to be writing a check at the closing, right? And so you're talking to this lady. Now, how were you able to work out the deal?
Well, we just showed her how it worked, you know, the whole process of subject to, and we have a presentation about that and how it works, and you know, and all kinds of questions, you know, what about this, and liability for this, and then, you know, obviously all the paperwork involved in power of attorneys, and authorizations to releases, and going over that, and who makes the payment, and then on these deals, what I like about these deals on the new homes is, I prefer to take them over subject to and deal with the bank, but on this deal, she had, you know, good credit, had not stopped making the payment and everything, so that was a deal maker as to whether or not I made the payment. No big problem. Just send me the statement, we'll send you the payment. So that's how it worked out. But she walked away with $12,000. We paid all the closing costs. It was just a $12,000 fee. There were no adjustments or prorations. And then we turned around and sold that house for $469,000, $46,000 down 6 days later.
So what was your subject to?
12 grand.
So, I mean, what was the balance that you were taking over?
388.
388.
At 4.25.
At 4.25%, and you were able to sell it at 469 at what interest rate?
8.5.
8.5%. So we got a nice spread on the money.
4 to 5%, yeah.
So you got the money plus the spread. That's a beautiful thing. And all you had to come out of pocket to her was $12,000. So that
$12,000. Most of these, now she was moving and had to have the money. Most of these deals now I am optioning because I don't want to make the payment, mow the grass, put the utilities on, pay for it. And that actually is working as well or better than paying them. It's only when they're gone or they need the money to go am I paying these days. And then tell them like, you know, that's the benefit or the privilege of dealing with me. You can take somebody else's offer, but this is my offer. That's how it is. And I haven't been turned down yet.
Awesome, awesome. So there's another thing that you're doing too, and that is working with wholesalers, right?
Correct.
So tell us about how that works.
So John, who is one of my wholesalers, is right over there. And he brings me deals. He spends big money. Now, my marketing budget every month is $60, and that's for postage stamps. That is the only thing we spend. But John spends $10,000 plus, and he comes across these deals, and he knows I'm good for the deal and to pay. So he,
So why don't you come on up here, John, and tell us who you are and what you do and where you're from and all that good
and
stuff.
also he's a graduate of Millionaire Jumpstart.
Yes, he is. Yes, he has been to Jumpstart and all that good stuff. Go ahead, Prince.
So my name is John Campbell. We're a local wholesaler in Charleston, South Carolina. We do all of New Jersey and all of South Carolina. We actually dialed our marketing back. We used to do TV ads, internet ads. We're slowly cutting it back to more PPL, limiting our spending, but being more targeted. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, whether you have a lot where you can spend on, so it comes down to time, money, and energy. And those three things is how you get a deal. So if you don't have a lot of time, you can spend the money in the better quality leads where you can close them a little faster. There's less follow-up. For the cheaper leads, you're gonna have to put more effort in, but you can get $0 leads. Like a couple of deals we've done without them, it was another real estate agent bringing it to us. And I was like, hey, you can get paid something rather than nothing on this deal. And I work with everybody to cut them in on the deal. And basically we split the fee, Adam gets a good deal, we get paid, and then we walk out. And the agent that was not gonna make anything ends up making something. And that usually comes after like a year of follow-up. Like the one Myrtle Beach deal, it took a year for the seller to finally come around and be like, hey, I need to sell on terms in order to get the price I want. So we always go cash first, so we're a very heavy cash offer company. And then when that doesn't work out, we then follow up into the subject to offer, which allows us to...
And that's been part of your revolution, right? That initially, when you were doing the heavy marketing, you had to keep the hamster wheel going, right? So
yes.
You had to flip those properties out fast just for cash and be able to keep the machine going. And then you learned about the magic of the creative financing, and you went, hold on, I don't have to spend as much, I don't have to work as hard, and I can get a lot more of the deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly, and you don't even have to do rehab on some of these houses. They're 2 years old, they were just built, brand new.
Under warranty?
Yeah, under warranty, no work needed. You could walk in, and then Adam taught me, which he then brought me to you, and I got all the stuff I needed for the contracts and stuff like that to then see how you can do a brand new house. So now it's not like we buy ugly houses, we just buy houses in
We
general.
just buy the pretty ones.
Just no more uglies, huh? Just pretties. That is a beautiful thing. So how are you finding your deals now? You said you scaled back the TV and radio and...
Yeah, so I don't want to say it was oversaturated, but there was like 4 of us on TV at one time, and our TV ads were going back to back, which happens.
Oh,
so
no.
now your cost is up, your lead flows down because everyone's like, oh, TV's the thing. So everyone's getting in on TV around here,
Oh, no.
and you're showing up to the house, and the only way you could beat them out. So we actually had one deal. There was like 7 wholesalers that were trying to get, they were signing cash. And I walked in and I was like, hey, we can't do cash, but we can do subject to, and we were the only wholesaler to be able to walk in and close that deal with the seller. Seller was happy. He's like, because his loan was too high for, the cash deal was like 150, 170, somewhere around there. His loan was 190, we gave him like 210, and the property value was 325. It needed a lot of work, unfortunately, but we were able to beat everybody out with a subject to offer, and then we assigned that to somebody that's gonna take it down on terms where they don't have to pay the hard money or anything like that.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
John brings me about a deal a month on average, or every other month. So if you don't have a wholesaler who's spending a lot of money on marketing, you need to find one, because they'll bring you lots of business. And in the end, I end up paying the same amount of money typically as if I would have bought it myself. And well, how many times John says, it's gonna be this much, I'm not paying that much.
unlike other wholesalers,
Only all the time, right?
yeah, we're always too expensive. But unlike other wholesalers, I literally will be willing to work with anybody. As long as we get paid, the deal gets done, the sellers are happy, that's all we care about.
All right, so let's figure this out. So what's your typical profit for you when you're doing a wholesale deal?
Average profit would be probably around 20,000.
20,000, that's a nice number for a wholesaler. You know, a lot of them don't make anywhere near that. Right? 5 to 10, pretty much. So you're doing really well with the price points that you're purchasing them at and what you can flip them out at. So that's a beautiful thing. And now on the flip side of that, when you're only bringing to him the creative ones, is that correct?
Yeah, and
The no equity.
No equity, the very nice houses, like very minimal work, maybe like cosmetic paint, carpet, stuff like that.
Okay, so minimal repairs. So this is your buy box, right?
It
So
is.
Adam's buy box.
I'm kind of snooty now. If it ain't nice and pretty, I don't want it.
Nice, pretty, doesn't need much work. I want to sit in the rocking chair. I don't want to do anything. And I just want John to bring me beautiful deals that I can make a profit on. Is that it?
Well, actually, too, the thing about these houses is now how I've evolved from doing this in the last 10 years. I have 4 profit centers on, especially these new houses. The down payment, I don't typically take less than 10% down, plus I get the closing costs on top of that. And then with the contract, I make extra money on the prorations, or just pay a flat fee when I buy from the seller, and make the buyer pay all the closing costs. So I have 0 closing costs when I buy these properties. The second's the monthly. My spread is 4 to 5%, and the price range is $400,000 to $500,000, which is where we are here in Myrtle Beach, where we're buying. That's
Your
it.
spread is 4 to 5%? Is that what you said?
On the interest rate.
On the interest rate. Okay, on the interest rate.
On the interest rate.
That's very important.
So we take over 90% of all the mortgages out there right now are below 5% due to refinance or purchase. So if you're taking over these deals, you can make a 5% spread.
Yep. All right, so 4 to 5% spread on the interest rate, which in turn brings you a differential on the income of how much?
I'm not the landlord, I'm not paying anything, no liability, anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a month after paying the PMI.
All right, so we got a net positive cash flow of $700 to $1,000 a month. I love that. And then what does that do for you for the rest of the story? So you're giving your customer now the path to home ownership, is that right?
Correct. We mark up the properties typically 10% of what the market value is. So the property I took less on the deal for the 469 because it wasn't my deal, but I probably would have got 489, and he was nervous about making the payment. And so that leaves me a balance over the 388 on that deal of, what was it, 46, like 20-something thousand dollars. So we're at a back end of $20,000 on top of it.
Let's trade it, yeah.
On top of it, I write all my deals interest only. So as a result, I have a declining amortized balance and I have a interest only balance that's owed to me. So there are 4 profit centers between what they owe me and then the declining amortized balance. So, and I don't own anything. Matter of fact, I told Lou this joke here the last time at Millionaire Jumpstart. A guy told me 15 years ago, he said, if you have a gun or a knife, you can rob the bank. If you're the bank, you can rob everyone and be a pillar of the community. So.
You're a pillar of the community.
That's right.
Because you are the bank for a lot of people that need what we have, right? We have something very special and very wonderful for the public out there, and the 80% that can't qualify for traditional loan. And we're not talking about junky houses in bad neighborhoods. We're talking about beautiful houses in beautiful neighborhoods. Now, what is your experience on finding people that have significant down payments?
Not a problem. I have to say my girl does all the internet marketing and we get some leads, but in the end, really bandit signs is what sells our house. We put up 40 to 50 bandit signs within a 2 to 5 mile radius, and that typically generates us 10 or 15 leads. Most of our buyers are the contractors that worked on them, the hair salon, the barbers, the nail shop owners. I just had a guy that owned 20-something vape shops. here and up and down the coast that can't get bank financing.
Imagine that.
And most of them, very rarely, 90% of my buyers have excellent credit. I'm talking 700 plus. They're driving $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 vehicles. They have money in the bank. They're not the typical rent-to-own. You know, these are people that just can't document or qualify for a loan under government standards.
So the key is, because you've got beautiful houses in beautiful neighborhoods, you're attracting beautiful people with beautiful pocketbooks, right?
They are driving right by the builder because he can't do anything for them for the financing.
Right, that's beautiful, that's beautiful. Well, we love that. Are there any questions from the Platinums? All right, let's begin with, let's begin with Tim since he has the microphone, then we'll go to Michelle. Yes?
What percentage, when you do your option, when you buy with option, what percentage fee do you?
I give them $100.
$100 for the option fee? Okay, that's very good.
It's non-refundable.
They get to keep the whole 100 if you don't buy, right? They get to keep the whole 100. So, in other words, the seller really doesn't care about that. That's not the point, right? So the option fee is not what they're in it for. They're in it for getting getting unloaded from the problem that they've got. So if he's coming along as the savior, he's offering him $100. That's not the important point. The important point is getting rid of the property, right?
Correct. And now I've done more money for options when there's been I've done some deals on where they put a lot of money down. But same scenario, they didn't want to lose, much or what they paid for the house, so they'll take a mortgage for the balance or even a personal note. I've done on some of them. So those I may pay $1,000 for, but that's my max. But typically, upside down properties, I'm doing a $100 option fee.
So now, since these are options, you really don't get the tax benefits unless you negotiate the tax benefits. Have you been negotiating the tax benefits?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So that's another opportunity. When it's an option, they can actually pass those tax benefits on to you as part of the deal. So that's...
It's just a negotiating end of
It's a throwaway.
Yeah.
If you don't get it, I mean, who's going to argue? Because they're trying to get rid of the property. All right, Michelle is next.
So you said your typical down payment
Right.
is 10%. Is that for rent to own? Or is your owner financing at a higher percentage rate, or is it?
I don't do rent to owns or lease options. I only do owner finance.
Okay, so it's 10% down.
Yeah, I want people on title only because my experience for 20-something years, the rent to owns and lease options typically don't pan out or come through, and I don't want the property back. Literally my first year profit on these owner finance deals, if they were to pay me off in the first year, is in the $60,000 or $70,000 price range. And I have sheets that I brought today that show my profit over 5 years. Because how I do these deals is from the seller I ask for a minimum of 6, the buyer I give 5, so if I have a year's cushion to figure out anything if we have to work it. But typically my buyers, we put them on title, at that point can get a streamlined refinance, which is no questions for income, employment, just a minimum credit score, usually 680, and there's no appraisal. So.
Right. So also, do you do long distance profits, or is this primarily in this market? Because I'm from Baltimore area, and even homes, they're still appreciating. I'm still getting bidding wars. So is it specifically this market with the new home builds?
No, I've checked out a couple markets. I mean, I'm in Myrtle Beach right now buying a lot of stuff because 17 million people a year are coming to Myrtle Beach, more than Disney. And the average price point there is in the $350, $450 range. And it's any place now, almost all the houses where there are builders building them, if you go to sell your house, the builder is selling it for the same money or cheaper than you did 3 years ago. And you probably got a 2 or 3% interest rate.
Right, that helps. I think that's the difference. I live in a very populated area, but there's just not new land and new builders around. But there are some
Well,
that try.
because that's how you find, go and look for the new homes, and
Yep.
look for anybody trying to sell in there. And I've seen this in back and forth between here and Atlanta and Greenville, every city I went to.
With
these-
the new home builds, yeah.
Yeah, if you have a resale, you are upside down.
Yeah, the specific neighborhood you're looking for is like the 250,000 price range to 400, 500,000. And then the people you're not targeting, but like you kind of are targeting is FHA buyers and VA buyers, because they only put like 0% or 3% down. So when they go to sell, that 20% cost it didn't appreciate 18%. So that's the people you're looking for, and that's the people you want to be helping, is those people that did low down payments. Unfortunately, you're not going to know that. You're just going to have to call and figure out on the call.
Well, WebWiz will tell you that. WebWiz can give you the analysis of the mortgage that they've got there, the interest rate, the whole 9 yards, before you even go look at them.
So the interest.
But one thing that struck me is exactly what you just now said. They have done the cost to sell, or they've been educated by somebody to know that there is a cost to sell, and they're actually realizing, oh my gosh, I only put 3 or 5% down, and now I'm going to get nailed because I got to get out of here. I can't afford the property anymore. I'm being transferred, whatever the case may be, and they've got that differential that they have to deal with, and there's really only one market in town, right?
Exactly. And they're only 2 years old, so it's very common with like military people where they end up getting shipped to the next town. They bought their house because they were able to afford it with that low percent down, and they're the ones that end up getting stuck where they either have to rent or they find someone like us where they can sell to us on terms and be able to get out that way.
Because nobody pre-educated them on exactly what they were doing. They bought that home not realizing that they were going to have this cost to sell on the other side.
Yes.
Exactly.
Or
Most of them didn't plan on selling.
Yeah.
Plan on moving.
A lot of people here in
weren't-
Charleston came to move here and didn't like it, and like, we're leaving or going back no matter what, whatever it cost.
They don't like humidity, is that it?
Yeah.
When you come across houses on the MLS and you approach them about the sub-2, what are you telling the agents, like the real estate agents?
I basically tell the sellers to just cancel the listing. And you know, actually some of the real estate agents I deal with actually have endorsed me, and you know, the seller said it's gonna, because I tell them, look, I can't do your paperwork, I can't deal with it, there's nothing you're gonna know how to do that I know how to do. And they know in the end, the best thing for the seller is that they can't sell because typically they don't have the money to sell. So that's the first, thing the real estate agent realizes. Because it's a Hail Mary. That's why they find the real estate agent that'll take their listing for the 10% or whatever they paid and try to back it out the other way. I mean, it's I see this every time. It's like, oh, the house is worth $490 and they paid $450, so the $45 is to cover the cost so they can get their $450 back, or...
It's a tough negotiation, but honestly, building rapport and educating is where you'll get your fee or get in the house.
The education process is so key.
Well, and actually too, now not all the real estate, now some real estate agent just referred me a deal, and I said I would only pay $10,000 on the deal. So she said the seller's upside down, just wanted to get out. He just wanted the loan to be taken over. The real estate agent is taking the whole $10,000. And not
I believe
even
that. I believe that. All right, yes,
So,
tell us who you are and where you're from.
Camille Duke from Crawfordville, Florida. So what you were saying is you are buying them, you're not doing subject to, you're doing a lease option.
No, I'm buying them subject to.
Okay,
That's it.
all right, that's,
I
I
don't get
didn't
title,
understand
I don't
because
want it.
you were saying you gave them like a $100 option fee, so that's where I was.
No, an option to buy the property and then resell it with that option for the new owner.
Okay.
So he's
Alright.
just simply optioning to purchase,
Okay.
right? With an amount that he's gonna pay for it, and now he's gonna go see if he can find a market for it.
Okay.
Somebody to buy it
And
from
then
him.
once you find that market, you're doing subject to.
Correct.
Okay.
No, I'm selling it owner finance, not
But you're buying it subject to.
Yes, correct.
And selling it under finance.
correct.
Okay.
It's a beautiful thing. And Lily?
This is Lily from Houston. Adam, when you, for the owner financing, are you managing the owner financing by yourself, or you have a servicer managing for you?
I have so many properties that I have a bookkeeper account that handles all this for me. But yeah, there are services now for $30 a month that will handle this for you if you don't.
Right, so you could just have a servicer handle all of that, or you can have a staff person.
And I will say this, from doing this for a long time now, all my deals that went bad were not because I didn't escrow taxes and insurance. So that is one thing I do with the buyers, and it's a lot of closing costs as well, because I escrow at least 6 months taxes and insurance. So if you do these deals and you don't escrow taxes and insurance and handle the escrows, your deals are going to come back a lot more frequently, because that's what happens at the end of the year when the insurance bill comes and the tax bill comes. They don't have it, and now you got to take the property back because they didn't budget that money.
Well, we've got lunch out here for you guys, and definitely appreciate your being here. Now, in our last 3 minutes, what would you have to say to someone that is looking at this business and considering being a part of becoming a real estate investor? Maybe they still have a job, they have obligations, they have family, they have kids, they have all these things in life. What would you say to them?
Well, if anyone wants to ask or see, I have a sheet back here, which I've showed Lou here multiple times. If you can knock on these new homes, 1 out of 10 will say yes, that they're just walking away. That is my statistical average. It's actually greater than that. So if you can knock on 10 doors a week, which how much time that takes you, and knowing how to do that, and then knock on 10 doors a week and get 40 door knocks in a month, you should be able to find at least 1, 2, 3 deals a month. It's that easy.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And well, your average equity that you're picking up on those deals is how much?
Well, I mean, that deal that we just bought, she paid $450, had $470 in it. We bought it for $400, even though market-wise it wouldn't sell for that. But, you know, literally 10%. I would have sold that house for $480, $490. So $80,000 or $90,000.
$80,000 or $90,000 just for knocking on a few doors. You wait for the low-hanging fruit, right?
Correct.
You're cherry picking beautiful houses in beautiful neighborhoods with folks that just need to be rid of them. Right?
Now saying that, where I live here in Charleston, the average price in my neighborhood is $1.2 million, and that's not for a mansion, I can tell you. So I've done it in the bigger ticket neighborhoods, not as easy to do. Really, you need to really specify or target middle class, 350, 450, you know, and that's where the builders, D.R. Horton and all the other builders that are offering these houses typically are in that price range anyway.
So if somebody just had the commitment, like you said, if they have an interest in the business and they would just be committed to go knocking on some doors, they could actually win. Is that right?
They can.
It's a beautiful thing. Now, John, what would your advice be?
So obviously, by looking at me, I'm probably one of the youngest in the room, if not the youngest. My advice is to
Yeah, baby. It's a beautiful thing.
is to lean into the more experienced guys. I'm so fortunate to have Dusty and Adam and even Lou. The contracts were amazing. Just lean into those guys that have the experience and go full into it. And honestly, they'll help you out. And let's say you are overpriced, they'll be like, hey, it's really here. And all that, it's a hard conversation, but it's a conversation that we have with sellers all the time.
We just had that one last week, didn't we?
Yeah, so basically it's just to readjust their expectations. And that is a hard conversation, but the more you get comfortable with those hard conversations and leaning into those other guys, the easier this will get.
That's a beautiful thing. Well, thank you both for coming today. Did they do a great job? Yeah, baby. Awesome. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the whole enchilada of real estate investing. I hope you're feeling ready to take your investing game to the next level. If you're serious about building wealth, you won't want to miss the Millionaire Jumpstart. It's a 3-day live event that's perfect for any level of investor. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to scale, this can be one of the final steps of making real wealth happen. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now at millionairejumpstart.com and get ready to make big moves in your real estate journey. I'm Lou Brown. Until next time, keep hustling, and remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how smart you play the game.